I'm lying on a cold ER gurney. My right arm throbbing like a jackhammer. Swollen twice its size after a nasty fall off my bike. And this nurse struts in like she owns the place, accusing me of faking the whole thing for attention. Can you believe it? The pain was shooting through my body like fire. But her words hit harder than the concrete I just kissed. I let out a deep sigh, the sterile smell of antiseptic stinging my nostrils, as I tried to process her nonsense. My name's Alex. By the way, a regular guy. 28 years old. Working as a graphic designer in the city. That morning started like any other, coffee brewing in my tiny apartment. The hum of traffic outside my window. Birds chirping in the early spring air. I hopped on my bike for my usual commute, feeling the cool breeze whip against my face. Invigorating and free. But oh man. Fate had other plans. One pothole hidden under a puddle, bam. I flew over the handlebars, landing awkwardly on my outstretched arm. Crack. The sound echoed in my ears. Sharp and sickening. Like a dry branch snapping underfoot. Pain exploded instantly. A white-hot wave that made me gasp for air. I lay there on the wet pavement. Rain starting to drizzle, mixing with the sweat on my forehead. Cars honked nearby. But everything blurred into a haze of agony. Is this really happening? I muttered to myself, clutching my arm as tears welled up unbidden. Somehow, I managed to flag down a cab. The driver, a kind older man with a thick accent, kept glancing back worriedly. You okay, buddy? That arm looks bad. His concern was a small comfort amid the chaos. We rushed to the nearest hospital. St. Mary's Yar, where the fluorescent lights buzzed overhead like angry bees. And the air was thick with the metallic tang of blood and the faint moans of other patients. I stumbled in, sweat-soaked shirt clinging to my skin, arm cradled against my chest. The triage nurse took one look and whisked me to a bed. But that's when she appeared, Nurse Brenda. The epitome of entitlement wrapped in scrubs. She was in her mid-40s, I'd guess, with perfectly coiffed blonde hair under her cap, sharp blue eyes that pierced like daggers, and a name tag that screamed authority. From the get-go, her attitude reeked of judgment. She sauntered over, clipboard in hand, and without even examining me properly, she scoffed. Another one faking it for pain meds. Ha! I've seen your type before. Her voice was laced with sarcasm, cutting through the room like a knife. I blinked, stunned, the pain making my head spin. What? No. I fell off my bike, it's broken. I swear. But she just rolled her eyes, her lips curling into a smug smirk. The beeping of monitors around us seemed to amplify the tension, each beep a punctuation to her disbelief. Why me? Why now? I thought, my heart pounding in rhythm with the ache in my arm. Brenda leaned in closer, her breath smelling faintly of mint gum, and whispered loud enough for nearby patients to hear. Young guys like you always pull the stunt. Bet you're after opioids. Well, not on my watch. The humiliation burned hotter than the injury. I felt exposed, vulnerable, like a kid caught in a lie I hadn't told. Nurses nearby exchanged glances, one even letting out a soft whistle under her breath. But no one intervened yet. I tried to sit up, wincing as a fresh jolt of pain radiated up my shoulder. Please, just get a doctor. This hurts so bad. My voice cracked, betraying the tears I was fighting back. She huffed, a dramatic exhale that filled the cubicle, and finally called for an X-ray. But even as the tech wheeled me away, she followed, muttering to herself about wasting resources. The X-ray room was dimmer, the machine's low hum vibrating through my bones as they positioned my arm. Agony. I bit my lip to stifle a groan. Tasting blood. The tech, a quiet woman named Maria, gave me a sympathetic pat on the shoulder. Hang in there, it'll be over soon. Her kindness was a balm, contrasting Brenda's storm. Back in the ER. The results came in. Harlan, a no-nonsense guy with salt and pepper hair and a stethoscope dangling like a medal, reviewed the films. Clear fracture, radius and ulna. Needs a cast immediately. Relief washed over me like a cool wave. But Brenda? Oh. She doubled down. That can't be right. He was fine walking in. Probably manipulated the tech. Her voice rose, echoing off the tiled walls, drawing stares from everyone. The doctor's eyebrows shot up. Excuse me. The imaging doesn't lie. But she persisted. Her face flushing red. Veins bulging in her neck. I've been here 15 years. I know a faker when I see one. That's when the real drama unfolded. Turns out, Brenda had a history. Whispers from other staff floated around like ghosts. She'd been reprimanded before for similar accusations, stemming from some personal grudge against entitled millennials, as she called us. But I didn't know that yet. I just sat there, arms slung in a temporary sling, the fabric rough against my skin, listening to their argument escalate. You're out of line, Brenda. Gar. Harlan warned, his tone firm like a slamming door. She crossed her arms, defiant. Prove it then. Let's see his records. In a twist that hit like a thunderclap, they pulled up my file, and lo and behold, I had a witness. The cab driver had stuck around, concerned, and even snapped a photo of the accident scene on his phone. He burst in, waving it like a flag. I saw the whole thing. Kid flew right off, potholes huge. The image showed my bike mangled. Me on the ground, arm twisted unnaturally. Brenda's face drained of color, her smugness evaporating like mist in the sun. But that doesn't mean, she stammered, her voice cracking for the first time. The air grew thick with tension, the distant wail of an ambulance siren adding to the symphony of chaos. I couldn't help but let out a bitter laugh, though it hurt my ribs. Satisfied now? The doctor nodded to security, who approached with measured steps, their boots thudding softly on the linoleum. Brenda, you're suspended pending review, she gasped. A sharp intake like she'd been punched. This is outrageous. After all I've done. But her protests fell on deaf ears as they escorted her out, her scrubs swishing angrily. Word spread fast in the ER, turns out this wasn't her first rodeo. Patients she'd accused before came forward, their stories pouring out like a dam breaking. One woman, elderly with a genuine hip fracture, had been denied pain relief because Brenda thought she was exaggerating. Another, a young mom with migraines, labeled a drug seeker. The hospital launched an investigation, the fluorescent lights seeming brighter as justice stirred. I got my cast, a heavy, itchy thing that smelled of fresh plaster, and some real meds. But the real healing came from seeing her face the music. As I left the hospital, the sun dipping low, casting golden hues over the parking lot, I breathed in the fresh air, free of antiseptic. My arm throbbed, but my spirit soared. Brenda, she got fired 2 weeks later, after the board reviewed complaints stacking up like unpaid bills. Karma, right? It hit her hard, lost her license temporarily, had to take sensitivity training. Whispers said she ended up working retail, dealing with actual Karens daily. Poetic justice. But here's the twist that sealed it. During the hearing, they discovered Brenda had been skimming meds herself, prescribing extras to friends. Boom. Charges filed. Her entitlement crumbling like a house of cards. I testified via video. My cast still on. Feeling a mix of pity and triumph. Why accuse innocent people? I asked in my statement. The words hanging heavy. In the end, this nightmare taught me resilience. Pain fades. But standing up to bullies? That's eternal. If you're ever doubted, speak up, truth has a way of roaring back. And to all the Brendas out there, entitlement bites back. Hard. Wait. But let's rewind a bit, I haven't even told you about the aftermath at home. Cradling my casted arm, I hobbled into my apartment. The door creaking like an old friend welcoming me. My roommate, Jake, a burly construction worker with a heart of gold, took one look and burst out laughing, then quickly sobered up. Dude. What happened? You look like you wrestled a bear. I recounted the tale over pizza delivery. The cheesy aroma filling the room. Steam rising like my simmering anger. Jake's eyes widened at Brenda's antics. No way. That's messed up. Sue, I considered it. The idea twisting in my gut like a knot. But nah. The hospital compensated me quietly, medical bills covered. Plus a little extra for the hassle. More importantly, it sparked change. Mary's implemented new protocols. Training staff on empathy and bias. I even got an apology letter from the CEO. Handwritten on crisp paper that smelled faintly of ink. Months later. Arm healed but scarred. I biked again, cautiously. The wind whispering warnings. Every pothole reminded me of that day. The crack of bone. The sting of accusation. But it also fueled my fire. I started a blog. ER Nightmares, sharing stories like mine. Comments flooded in, happened to me too. Thanks for speaking out. It became a community. Voices uniting against injustice. And Brenda? Last I heard, she was flipping burgers. Her nursing dreams dashed. A bitter end. Sure. But deserved. Life's full of falls, literal and figurative, but rising with grace. That's the real win. So, next time you're in pain, demand respect. You deserve it. What would you do in my shoes? Fight back. Right? Absolutely. Reflecting now. Under the soft glow of my desk lamp. Keyboard clacking as I type this. I feel empowered. That ER chaos, with its beeps and shouts, forged me stronger. Justice isn't always swift. But when it hits, it's satisfying, like the final puzzle piece clicking in. To anyone facing a Karen, hold your ground. Truth prevails.